Drinking Kool-Aid cameras like I did when I was 9. Cause I like to pretend that I haven't lost the time. In the end, the nostalgia, though it tastes fine, I can only drink a couple cause it feels like a lie. We'd play Halo and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. Years go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drink Kool-Aid in the summertime. They've been with me for some time, and it's nice to know that they still by my side. Friends are like stars, cause no matter how far, when it's dark outside, they will be your light. We'd play Halo, and we'd lay low in our basement until the sun began to rise. We would go to school but not learn too much, cause it's hard to read when you've got tired eyes. Months go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drank Kool-Aid in the summertime. Years go by, the time it flies, past the days that we drank Kool-Aid in the summertime. can't see through your skin.
Yeah, I'm lost and numb, cold to the touch. I pretend like I don't remember your name. Every masterpiece turns to blasphemy. When I close my eyes, yeah, I still see your face. We were the thunder and the lightning, burning fire started from the spark. I would spend you just to watch you twirl. It was us against the world. You were the rain falling on my skin. Yeah, I was dying when you pulled me in. I was your rebel and you were my girl. It was us against the world.
Boise State Esports Arena tonight. You join us for Mountain West playoffs. Boise State has made it all the way to the semifinal matches. Just one team stands between them and making it all the way to the finals. We'll see if Boise State can pull off a victory, as they have been undefeated in the regular season. Will the same hold true for the postseason? All the players are up on stage ready to go, and I am here at the casting desk. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer, and joining me virtually, I've got someone who has joined us throughout the season, calling all the action for the Broncos. We've got Rich Rad joining us once again, coming in virtually over the web. Rich Rad, it is great to have you with us as we are ready to head up against Hawaii. That will be the semifinal match that Boise State has for the Mountain West. Before we get into the specifics of the Mountain West, you having your foot in both collegiate and the pro scene at the same time, has there been anything that's been happening in the pro season, strategy-wise, any popular comps that we might want to look out for here tonight?
I mean, the biggest thing is, there's a Torb 1v1 that was filtering itself around a little bit. But, again, those are just like some lovely highlights. But when it comes to, again, what we've seen so far, I'm more so just really curious of how Boise State is going to continue playing the way that they are. Like, I know that we can look to lean into what pro has specifically been. But even when we look at the collegiate aspect of it, you had mentioned, again, earlier that we also do have the collegiate Overwatch championship as well, functioning simultaneously alongside this. So there's a lot of different places that they can participate in. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see Boise State still continue to really lean into those strengths that they've been able to do, because honestly, we've seen a wide variety of the compositions that Boise State's really been able to bring to this. And the other really key flavor text to that is the players that have swapped their roles to do so, as we hop into those drop-in gaming docs keys to the game.
And in Overwatch, that's never to take a fair fight. That means to take fights in unexpected places when your opponents are unprepared, and try to get as much tempo as you can build up. Brought to you by Drop-In Gaming, the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. As a recap of how the regular season has gone, it has been between the 8 teams in the Mountain West. Each team plays each other twice for 14 grand total matches in the regular season, and Boise State has put up a 14-0 for the season. So ranked first seed, they will be going up against the 4th seed team. That is going to be Hawaii, who is currently at 9-5 in the record. Are we going to be starting off on a very familiar side for the first stage, Lijon Tower? We have seen that many a times here in the Mountain West. Boise State has made a lot of great memories on Lijon Tower. We'll see if they can add another one to their portfolio shortly, as we are ready to jump into the Mountain West semifinals. If Boise State wins this, they will move on to the finals, where they will either face rivals New Mexico or UNLV. So definitely some great rivalries to be had here in the Mountain West. Rich Rad, as we are jumping into Lijon Tower, we have seen the Broncos play this one time and time again. What are kind of the main strengths that they bring to Lijon Tower?
I mean, realistically, the versatility, and like I touched on it just before going into those keys to the game from Doc, is that the player versatility, not only just in their hero selection, but also just in their ability to swap to their role. Where if we do see this adjustment by Matt Merck, taking a little bit of a different type of methodology behind their play style, Clear as well being able to do the same thing as they lean into this. So it's really just understanding those key strengths that each player brings on their selected hero, as we're going to see here with Matt Merck entering in onto the Torbjorn, and the Diva being that tank line, which Clear has played masterfully, as we got to see earlier last week, especially on that map of Saravasa, the highlight.
Clear making a whole bunch of space for himself. He's playing the whole central plaza, pushing Hawaii over toward the ledge. No one taken out quite yet, although Matt Merck does take damage, going down to about half health. He's trying to body himself as Boise State rotates on over to the point as it unlocks. Trying to put as much damage as you can onto small left. The Torp turret taken out. They have a little bit of an awkward scenario. Boise State split up from their tank. Clear manages to get on the point, captured Boise State, so they'll at least get a little bit of score to tick up. But can they win the actual team fight is the question. Got a flank in the back line from Akami on the Tracer. We've definitely seen Tracer players, if they're really good, can trip up Boise State if they're a constant pain in the back line. Still nothing major left or right. Map's going to end as soon as I say it. The Lucio standoff is going to end with a move onto a large bagel. Boise State now down one of their supports, is going to give up space and hand it over to Hawaii.
And with them giving it up, they're going to look for this re-entry, though. It's so precise in how Clear is playing to just bob and weave back into this, utilizing these mega packs until they can come back into this. And with the self-destruct almost online, they're really waiting on Lyric with this Sakune rush so that they can take a very aggressive play as they go in on it.
Kitsune rush to start to retake the point. They dash on in. Trying to push as much in as they can onto small left, who activates Terror Surge in the face of Boise State and takes out Moose. Clear is trying to even it up. He does manage to take out small left, and Economy is next on the list thanks to Math Merc. Boise State has a 1% advantage. We'll leverage that into a point contest and take out Banana. That will be a point take back for Boise State. Hawaii got up to 41.
It was a worthy attempt by Small, able to get that Terra Surge to pull them in while the Kitsune rushes were crossing and overlapping one another. But unfortunately, because of the positioning from Boise State playing further back and getting that extra damage in those eliminations from afar, as there really wasn't a way for Hawaii to recoup themselves despite having a Kitsune rush of their own, that's what really gives Boise State, and most specifically, looking in the long run, is that they've got 3 ultimates to work with, whereas you had 3 come out from Hawaii, which is massive for Boise State, as this re-entry is going to have to come in soon from Hawaii, as it's 50+%. Oh no.
Wow, what a play by a large bagel, able to take out Akami with one single boop. Boise State still maintaining control of the point, but the main damage maker gone from Hawaii, keeping them at bay. They're now trying to body small left back on over toward the choke. Sound barrier being spent by Hawaii, trying to keep them alive. It was a pulse bomb thrown out, but the overblock from Moose is going to determine this fight, picking up a double. Clear also chips in, getting rid of Akami. Boise State now into final fight territory as they near 80% with a huge advantage over Hawaii.
I mentioned about Torbjorn 1v1s and joked around a little bit about that with flavor text, but the reality is Mattmerk is really putting in so much work. That's why they're putting a lot of these resources into it. The pulse bomb comes in, but the sound barriers by a large bagel, giving them enough protection to hold into this, and there's only a few seconds left for Hawaii to get back into this, and they really have nothing to combat against these 3 ultimates.
The only thing they have is the Kitsune rush. Boise State has that as well. They're going to be dueled out, and there is a molten core from Boise State covering all of the jokes. Moose with a rail gunshot takes out Banana. Small left taken out thanks to all that molten core damage being put out through the doorway. Madberg and Clear do a little cleanup work. It's just Akami left with a sliver of health, and that will do it. Boise State takes Night Market.
And they've done a really great job, again, it really leaning into the strengths and the composition that they want to bring to this. And with Clear on the Diva, it's so clean. And I commented earlier in regards to what we've seen on Suravasa previously. It's just this clear understanding, no pun intended of that, because their name is Clear, but knowing how to get in and out of these engagements, really utilizing the mega packs to their advantage. And the other part of it too is because of how close in proximity they are on specifically a map like that. Of course, there are a lot of health packs when we look at even, the other 2 rounds or just any map really, but those 2 specifically, being able to dive back and forth over those walls with the Diva, who has that verticality into their kit, it really just makes it so much more impact onto the point. And then again, you have the fire to deny and impact at least the Torbjorn, but they swap now onto the Junkrat to funnel damage into these narrow corridors.
Hawaii is able to make it to server room first, pushing a bit of damage onto Boise State, but they're healing up pretty well, both teams. And the first one, Duckmonger is going to be able to get the pick onto Moose. Boise State down 1 and Clear, taking a bit of damage down to half health. It's going to force out the immortality field from Boise State. It's taken out once again by that Echo. They try to get the final shot. Mapper gets some revenge for his fallen teammate, but Boise State still is down by 1 teammate, and they won't be able to take the point after the first fight. Hawaii gets the first charge.
Yeah, the significant amount of healing that comes from Lyric being gone so early in this makes it really challenging for Boise State to buy back into this. Not to discredit a large bagel, but it's just the kit that the Lucio brings to the table in this. There's so much area of effect healing that it's not enough to stabilize an entire team with throughput coming out by Lyric. But now that they're back on this squad, moving in with the 5, they'll be able to have another recontention and attempt as Clear opts to go now back to the Diva instead of that Sigma.
Huge hit put onto small left. Pulse bomb, though, takes out Boise State's healing yet again. We were just talking about it's evened up with a pick onto Guck, but Kitsune Rush is used in response. Sound here by Large Bay can give his team a bit of help to fight through. Can they pick up any eliminations? They're struggling in that regard, but the Molten Core comes out. Moose with the grenade is taking out Akami. Can they pick up anybody else? Now Sound Barrier for Hawaii is going to make that task very difficult for the Broncos as the timer still ticks up toward the Rainbow Warriors, getting near 60%. Clear wins the tank fight, and Lyric takes out Banana as Fuji State gains a hold and looks to be able to take the point for the first time this match.
And I really love that we get that clear overhead view of what's happening at that moment, because realistically, once it starts to really descend into chaos, that's where we do have this Bastion up on the high ground completely uncontested. There's just far too much damage in that turret form where you can't really mitigate it any further. When you have a lot of this focus fire, you're reducing players, you have the Bastion play a little bit more passively until they can find an opening, but at that point, they guarantee it, and now we're even going to lean in with an artillery shell.
And it takes out Banana, clear back away from the point. Boise State pick up one more. Clear sitting on this self-destruct. Going to move right up to the door, but not spending quite yet. Hawaii with a bit of a difficult position as they try to find a different route to take.
And that different route will be curious. They continue to press in through this main doorway because the Orisa can mitigate a lot of it, but unfortunately there's so much damage being peppered into the rest of them. Hawaii's going to rush in and have the Terra Surge.
It's used, and it takes out Moose, so that main DPS damage from Boise State offline. Going to be trying to make it up by placing the Amplification Matrix down. Hawaii has spent their Kitsune Rush and Immortality Field to get back onto the point, but both teams still just about even keel as a very crucial tank battle takes place on the point. Hawaii drops their Amplification Matrix and a Duplicate brought out. It's going to be taken out by, look at Akami here with a double on the pulse bomb. If you count Torb in his turret, and Torb loves his turret so much it might as well be two people, but still, Hawaii takes back the point, and we are getting into home last fight territory.
I mean, the biggest part of this is you still had Boise State be able to keep this for as long as they did. They're going to get one last guaranteed fight here. The fact that Clear goes a little bit late still should give them enough, though, to get back into it as a full 5. And the most significant part is you at least have the Molten Core. There's one ultimate online here for Boise State, whereas everything from Hawaii was tossed into this. If Lyric can get enough healing or damage in these next few seconds before contention and have that Ant Matrix, that's going to be huge.
State, they got one fight left to take it back, and then probably one afterwards to defend. As Matt Murph moves on over to server room, gets ready with the Molten Core, spells it. There's no ultimates from Hawaii quite yet that they can spend, and Akami eliminated by Clear. Amp Matrix thrown down by Boise State, and Lyric takes out Small Left. Tank is gone, and the supports are trying to retreat, but River God taken out. Banana, can he get away from Matt Murph? It's a hot pursuit chase for a hefty stagger. Boise State's going after this, and Clear comes in on the flank. They are right up near Hawaii's spawn, trying to take him out.
Wow,
they do
they
get
get
the
it.
pick onto Banana. That is such a huge stagger to place onto Hawaii, but the pulse
no.
bomb might even things up as it's placed onto Clear. Lyric takes out Gut Monster, and Matt Murph is going to also take out that Duplicate. Can the artillery hold Hawaii at bay? It does manage to pick up one, but the Terror Surge onto Lyric is trying to take things back. Hawaii has a few people on point. Can they stay on there with the overtime? There are fights taking place all over the arena. It is so crazy, but Clear is on the point trying to take out the Zeko. Will be taken out of his mech, taken out to Pilot Diva, and that's a huge loss for the Broncos as Kami lands the final melee onto him. Boise State now has just Tracer, and maybe this Moira to try a dream to stall it out for them. Small Left, Moose comes back on, but there's a Kitsune Rush from Hawaii as they lock down the remaining point. Can Lyric try to keep stalling this out? Throwing the orbs out, he'll get eliminated. Boise State large Fago, time to do some Reddit Lucio shenanigans, but it is just not enough against the full team fight of Hawaii. Boise State being taken out one at a time, and with Matt Murph being eliminated right there, that is going to do it. We are tied up one apiece.
It's such a risky play at the end there. Yes, you do get Banana on the Lucio, but in sacrifice for Clear on the Diva, that is just what it poses a huge disaster, because then you no longer have this tank. Small also being in a room of cover outside of just the door there's no way that the Bastion gets the elimination. It was close. Went into the tank form, got the damage onto it, but didn't get the elimination. If you're able to equalize onto small the same time that you do lose that D.Va play, you're in a good spot. But unfortunately, that didn't manage to happen. So Boise State continuing to play behind the 8-ball is now it's going to bring them into a round 3 as we enter into Gardens and see if Boise State's going to be able to pull themselves together at least and allow those little, sometimes overzealous moments to be a little bit more calculated so they don't find themselves having to go into an extra round like this.
White trying to make their way across the side bridge. Small left split up from his team just a little bit, enough to get down to half health. Akami was also hanging on there for a little bit. Still, long-range shots traded back and forth between both teams. Akami tries to take a flank up the side onto Lyric. It's not going to work out. Has to move on out of there with the switch step. Moose gets the pick onto Banana. And the first elimination of the fight onto Lucio of all things is going to allow Boise State to keep the tempo going, taking out Small Left and Akami. Point will go over to Boise State after the first fight.
See, this is the calculation that I mentioned that I would like to see from them, because honestly, it's a lot more of a slower play, a lot more reactive. Whenever there's any sort of positioning that comes out from Akami on that tracer to the side, they recognize it. There's also a lot more sustainability being put onto Matt Merck, onto this Echo. They're guaranteeing that they're not playing overly aggressive, nor putting themselves in a very punishable position with a focusing beam up front. But as I say the focusing beam, there's one instantly when there's going to be somebody at least stuck out in the open.
On up the side and trying to get some sort of pinch play going with Matt Merck, but doesn't want to overextend like last time, so we'll move on back to point. Boise State just going to play it slow, wait for a little bit of a better time to fully contest against Hawaii. Might catch a flank as Large Bagel is spotting a straggler still out in the courtyards. Sound barrier comes online for him. Boise State has to go back. It's Akami trying to get in the back line, but he's shut down by Moose. And now Boise State turns their back onto the full force of Hawaii, who's using a whole bunch of their ultimates, the Continue Rush and the Duplicate. That's going to be negated. Boise State brings out the Deadeye, lands it right onto Guk, and Boise State is going to get even more, bringing out the Duplicate onto Small Left, onto the Orisa. Now Boise State effectively has 2 tanks fighting on the field. Not enough for Economy to stand out to. Mad Merc eliminates Small Left, Banana falls, and Boise State still has the point at 75%.
They really just want to end this right now, and their ability to just take a moment and reset mentally in this and acknowledge that the way that they played towards the end of it was a little bit more so, I would say, harsh. I wouldn't say reckless, but again, just a little bit, you know, lacking the maybe best decision. Even though they still get a takedown onto it, this is so much cleaner. It is way more refined, and they have just completely outmatched Hawaii, and Hawaii just doesn't know what to do.
Magnetic Grenade goes right onto Guk. They have to use the sound barrier, and Clear is just lying in wait with the final ace up his sleeve, this self-destruct. Hawaii also has their Terror Surge, and they have to use it as their backline is falling to Boise State's long-range shots from Moose. They move on in. That's on it for the Orisa. At this point, the self-destruct is just insurance as we're getting another Cassidy duel, won yet again by Moose, and Boise State takes Lijon Tower outright.
Moose on this Cassidy is absolutely petrifying. I want to see more of it because the amount of mag grenades that were landed and the shots that were coming through was almost like Hawaii's kryptonite. They were unable to play at all into this, and then even larger credit when it comes to a Large Bagel because their head's constantly on a swivel. Keeping that assistance onto Moose with this Cassidy made it even more precise. Like, it was so well done. That tracer was completely nullified. There's no way that you're going to be able to get enough damage in. And again, it's a little bit of, you know, utilizing the combat roll to reduce some of that incoming fire damage. All those little mechanical details that continue to help keep Boise State in a more strong stance. It's I love seeing it because again, when you have just these little moments of like, oh hey, like they kind of show that they're like human in that sense, that they do bleed, but then all of a sudden they get this protective armament and says, all right, we're going to reinforce ourselves, we're going to come back in and we're going to fight to the death. And it was just so clean. Round 3, vastly different than what I've seen a lot of the time from Boise State when they want to really step it up a notch.
I say it's a cautiously optimistic sign when the biggest thing Boise
Yeah.
State just needs is to not get ahead of themselves. Because when we're seeing the one-on-ones, the face-off, the battles between both tanks, the battles between DPSs, Boise State is coming out ahead on a vast majority of those one-on-ones. They just got to make sure they don't get too ahead of themselves and commit too far into enemy territory.
Because the punishment can be significant, and it's moments like those that make them lose that second round. But reeling it in and knowing when to do so is the key component, and that's what really makes a good team actually a great team. Knowing how to make those significant shifts when you look at each of these rounds independently. And I'm just really excited to go into this next map so that we can continue to see this as they've taken this. And also, again, like I said, that Cassidy play was on point. I just want to see more of it. Whether or not it's going to be as viable in comparison when we go to this specific map of Eichenwald, if that is the lock-in, I did see it switch, so hopefully that's right. Either way, I still want to see it.
we were a little bit too complacent with Kings Row. I mean, of course it's going to be that, but it's a nice surprise to see things are going to be shaken up. And Boise State, whether it be Kings Row or Eichenwald, plenty of times they have managed to get an outright hold on the first point, not even let us see the payload sections of both maps.
Yeah, and with the way that, again, Boise plays, just looking back historically from the previous weeks, it's just the methodology of knowing how to play in those defensive points when it comes to King Row, understanding how to maneuver around Mundata's statue, and also keeping track of that upper high ground when transitioning from the theater over onto the balcony. But same thing happens here when it comes onto Eichenwald. There's that archway in the initial point where you try to defend. You also do have those two smaller corridors to the right and left that you can really continue to maintain before entering into the open courtyard where that large obelisk or spire in the center, that tower is there. So there's so many different ways that you can really see Boise State be able to anchor and really put a weight on the shoulder of the opponent who has to work through this type of just defensive prowess.
And if there's anything in the past games that really makes me a little bit cautiously optimistic is we haven't seen Zen too much for Boise State, but we have seen it brought out on Eichenwald, and that's just a personal treat for me. I mean, we're talking about Moose landing these long-range shots on the Cassidy, but if I think it's going to be, if Zen is brought out, it is usually Chosen, and we've seen him be pretty darn accurate with those right-click holds, being able to just delete people from those long ranges, aiming right through that archway, and taking a very crucial member of the other team out before they even push into the actual choke.
And then when you get the amplification amplified damage of the Discord orb, I had to think about that, saying that out loud. But yes, because it does amplify the damage in that sense. So it's allowing that Cassidy to hit even harder. And when those shots are landing and the mag grenades are being stuck, it really, really is just so difficult. It's a tall mountain to climb here for Hawaii. Again, you mentioned it's the first seed versus the fourth seed. They are here because they are a competitive team and one that you do still have to recognize as competition, because if there is a moment that they can take, they will absolutely grab hold of it and not let it go, as we saw in that round 2 of Lijiang Tower. But Boise State here, I would take a gathering to see with the Zen and the Diva that it's going to be on the defensive side. First, it's Hawaii opting to take the attack, and we'll see if this defensive side can hold true. And I'm really liking the combination here of both the Kiriko and the Zen. You do still have that opportunity of immunity and being able to get that stasis onto the Zenyatta, which we do sometimes find being a little bit vulnerable if caught out, because they don't really have anything outside of the snap kick to really cause distance to anybody that dives in onto them.
Clear and Matt Murph move up just a little bit to see what the opposing team is before they go back for this long-range fighting through the arc. So many headshots being landed against Small Left. He manages to tank it out, trying to move through computers over toward the left route, but Boise State forcing Hawaii to rethink. They try to move the other direction, but once again, taking a whole bunch of headshots. Small Left, wherever he peeks out, is being taken down to half health. They'll try once more, and the same story plays out yet again. Akami trying to get a fight on the back line. Can he actually land it? And Small Left lands the first melee onto Lyric. That's a huge moment. He's taking a whole lot of damage from Matt Merck. Akami getting the pick onto a large bagel with no supports left. Matt Merck and Clear have to do such a huge job holding this down. Clear's going to be able to get one, but it's not enough to prevent Hawaii from getting their first tick and possibly the whole payload.
And this was that Zenyatta comment, like I mentioned, when you are going to really need this Kiriko to stick close to them to make sure that they're not going to get overwhelmed. The Swift Step came in, but then that leaves the Kiriko vulnerable, and that's why Lyric makes this adjustment back on to that Baptiste. The Immortality Field is going to give, I think, a little bit more survivability and long-run opportunity, in addition to just the significant amount of healing to try and recover in those moments. So I do like the adjustment because they realize that this isn't going to work with a large bagel on the Zenyatta.
Trying to find any sort of Akami trying to go all solo that he can focus down, on back into the castle. But Small Left is sticking right there. All his DPS is not playing an easy target. Come out onto Boise State. They do manage to find one with this corridor thrown onto Guk, but he managed to get rid of Lyric before he went down. So it's a 1-1 trade. That Lucio so low on health, and Clear takes him out. But once again, Akami with the pulse bomb gets rid of Matt. Trades back and forth. Clear taken out of the map with a self-destruct. Gonna hold off on the remake for just a little bit as Hawaii continues making steady progress.
Targeting system from Clear whenever he's got that eye on what he wants to eliminate, and able to show that precisely when we get the POV. But now, as there's still 4 minutes to go, Boise State has given up quite a bit of ground here. Oh my goodness! All right, a large bagel.
That's what I was waiting for. One of those bursts of damage.
Oh my
like that.
goodness.
Las Vegas on a tear now with the Sin, getting a double for himself. And there's just Akami left on a blink back towards the payload. But Boise State has a heavy presence on their large bagel. After that great showing, however, is going to fall to Banana.
I mean, they've been able to really show the value that the Zen can bring into this, but it is still very dangerous. It's a high risk, high reward as this Tac Visor comes out from the high ground.
Small Left faced Clear away from their team, taking a bunch of damage to the amplification matrix. Also hacked for good measure, pops the Terra Surge, although we don't have a view on the camera as to what caused that. Moose swapping on over to the Sombra, got that hack onto Small Left. We see Duplicate now being brought on to the Soldier. A lot of these duplicates have been taken out before the ultimate can be charged up as we move off to the castle. And Hawaii very close to taking the checkpoint.
Divide and conquer moment, but the Sombra now looking to engage with the hack. Pulse bomb makes a reduction of 1. This is going to be challenging for Boise.
Sound barrier spent by Hawaii to move back onto Void Transcendence, used in response by the Broncos. 2 main support ultimates spent. Kitsune Rush just comes online for Hawaii. Will it push them over the edge? Moose lands the pick onto Small Left without the tank. This is an opening for the Broncos to hold. They got to make sure they don't go off of this payload, however, because there's only a little over 3 meters between them and the checkpoint. Banana lands a pick onto Lyric. Coming on back, though.
Wow.
Clear and Matt Merck body the other team, wipe them out, and hold them just before the checkpoint.
Moose right now as well on this Sombra, that was so clean. And I don't get to watch a lot of POV as much with Sombra. We typically try and only focus onto that when there's like an EMP or anything like large that significantly happens with the ultimate economy. But just watching standard play is unbelievable, as they're going to opt to bring it to the table themselves.
Do manage to take out Matt Merck, a trade back onto Akami by Clear. 2 DPS is down, and both teams just waiting this out. Oh, runs right into the Sombra. They're just going to wait out that fight. Now the full team fight comes onto the payload. Boise State, one hack goes on over to them. We see a swap over to the live leader. Hack onto Small Left. All of his abilities gone. Just as he charges up his ultimate, Mattberg brings out the visor and takes out Akami. Boise State is also spending their Kitsune Rush. So close to taking out River God, but they managed to slip away. The same can't be said for Banana and Small. They'll be eliminated in Boise State, holding yet again.
And they have a win condition right now. This EMP is everything for Boise State with this last 60 seconds, holding onto the bridgeway. Very far forward positioning for right now, but again, I'm keeping a watchful eye. This Sombra here by the payload is something we really have to be aware of, and how they're going to rotate around to potentially find a weakness.
Eyes onto Moose with that all-important EMP, trying to see what route Hawaii takes, and moving on to the high ground. EMP spent, heads onto 2 of Hawaii, heads onto the tank most importantly, and they're able to take him out. Boise State did lose one of their supports, but Clear changing things up by taking out one of Hawaii's supports. Clear also gets rid of Guk, and it's another team fight, one for Boise State, but there's one contesting on the point. It is this Sombra still trying to, it's Tracer, excuse me, trying to keep things alive. Boise State puts all of their attention on Clear, chasing after that Tracer, away from the payload. Hawaii probably having one more chance to take this.
Oh man, I was gonna say, oh no, and the pick's gonna come up onto Moose and they're gonna re-enter.
There a surge, and they get 2 picks onto Boise State at the very last moment. They're holding on to this self-destruct, not quite using it, it's just gonna fall down. Forfeit this fight for now, and focus on the last few minutes we'll have in the castle.
That's the one, like, challenging moment when you've got an EMP like that, which is a win condition, but the fight happens so fast that it gives Hawaii another attempt, and the fact that there was the chase onto Akama is going to then again be punished again, where they lose their support line. So now Boise State has to give up that checkpoint, go into this final stage. There's only 60 seconds left, and they do have a self-destruct here to utilize. So really need to be cognizant of this as that stick comes out, but misses.
There goes a hack from Hawaii. The EMP only going to go onto Bagel. However, they also expend their sound barrier. Large Bagel getting focused now. Matt Merck taken out. Clear down to half health, still holding on to this self-destruct, lands 1 pick onto Banana, gets right in the face of Small Left, and Hack cannot be just as able to get out of their mech and is trying to get enough damage to get back in there. Moose lands a pick with the concussive mine onto Guck. Clear is still not taken out, almost back to a full mech, gets it, will survive to another day, and Boise State holds on.
And now it's the final moments again. The Riptire is huge. If they get a pickup early onto this, that's going to spell disaster here for Hawaii. It's really the win condition in the moment now again. Self-destruct going to be tossed out, causing chaos. Oh! What? It blew up instantly on the wall? Had to be an accident. Had to be an accident.
I mean, thematically appropriate for the Junkrat, but not in the best interest of Boise State. They do manage to get 2 picks and keep Hawaii away from the payload enough to end the round right here.
Yeah, I mean, with the self-destruct zoning them back across the bridgeway, I mean, that might have just been enough, and that's why at that point the Riptire was just self-destructed and would rather have just any maybe concussion mine or damage or whatever else be funneled into it, and that was just really, really great read overall due to the timing that remains, and those early picks, as you mentioned, were just significant towards the end of it, as we do see a hold here, but I would definitely say that this is quite a good run here for Hawaii, with them being able to outmatch despite the ultimate economy and the way that Boise was playing more recovery towards the tail end of that second point. This is still quite a bit of distance for Boise State to actually claim. As you mentioned at the start, more often than not, they've been able to lock down their opponent at that initial point before even transitioning into the payload phase.
Rainbow Warriors really are putting on a valiant effort here. Probably the most improvement I've seen in a team in the Mountain West from the regular season to the postseason. Even when Boise State faced UNLV, which is the 2nd seed in Mountain West, there weren't this many rounds and this much competition being placed onto the overall match that Hawaii is giving it right now.
Well, and again, playoffs, semifinals, plus also just time and effort and consistent focus on synergy with the team can really make a difference. And once they do start to understand their opponent like Boise State, that can really help elevate their skills and know where they really want to focus. And you saw that out the gate. They knew that the weak point was going to be a large bagel on the Zenyatta. Not that the Zenyatta was played badly, it's just they knew how to execute on the attack, causing so much more challenge for Boise State to sustain through the damage.
Clear taking the high ground over the bridge as the team follows. Caboose taking a whole bunch of damage, hit with the javelin for good measure. Gonna be forced back for a few seconds, but is healed back up as Boise State makes their way past the arc. Now moving on around, got Akami down to very low health. Akami will get on out of there and heal up. Matt Murr gets the first pick onto Guck. Can Boise State leverage that first blood into a whole team fight win? Moose went low on health.
Oh my
Clear
God.
also down to half health. The storm arrows go right on to Akami. Both DPSs have been picked off this team fight. Boise State making their way onto the point, going to charge up the first tick. Moose takes out Banana, and I think that's the final nail in the coffin of trying to defend the first point.
These arrows are like heat-seeking missiles in the way that they've been landing on the headshots. Just even in such close proximity, the flick coming out from Moose is disgusting, as we've got 5 minutes and 30 seconds now on this payload as it continues to move forward. A lot of time on the bank here, and what seemed to be a very challenging checkpoint with this type of time bank and cleanliness of being able to work through this initial point is big, but getting an elimination early is an opportunity here for Hawaii to stem the bleeding.
Large Bradwell's brought out the Brig and gets taken out by Akami on the Tracer. I'll force him to go back onto the Baptiste. State now stuck in the archway, clear, looking for any sort of target off to the side. Guk peeks out of the archway on the Sombra. He moves on in, tries to use the micro missiles on him, but isn't able to land the pick, and River God takes out Matt Merck. Boise State just being delayed for a good little bit, about a minute being taken off from this first fight.
Clear about to hit to that self-destruct as well. Really jumping over the back to try and catch somebody off guard, getting so much damage onto them. They could actually pincer onto this and get the elimination.
Do manage to land, and as soon as that elimination is got, Boise State has a green light. Though Small Left is still trying to defend River God, they do get the pick onto the Kiriko, then finally focus down the tank. Boise State now rounding the first corner. A little bit slower than Hawaii did, but they still have plenty of time to claim the checkpoint.
And the timing on this for Matt Merck to change onto the Pharah is great, because you're going into a very, again, open, high, free, elevated space for you to play and utilize the architecture to your advantage. And we've seen Matt Merck on King's Row just completely decimate and looking to do the same here, but Moose is going to say, I'm getting my first picks first.
Oh my goodness, look at that shot by Matt Merck. Close range, he moves on in and decimates the Akami with one shot. That is some forward play. And look at all this ground he's gained too. Nice high ground right near the castle door as Boise State pushing across the bridge with little to no resistance.
Yeah, they're picking him off one by one. They're going to have one last chance here, but this Kitsune Rush is primed and ready, and it's going to counteract what Hawaii's going to bring.
Large Bagel already picking up two onto Guk and Small Left. Akami trying to make a fight out of this by getting rid of a Large Bagel, but it's a 2-for-1 trade overall. And with that player advantage, Boise State is picking up even more. Gets both of the supports and the checkpoint. We'll have 4 minutes 30 seconds to get to the last parking spot compared to the minute 30 that Hawaii had.
Well, and here's the other part of this, is there's 4 ultimates that are going to be online for this. Granted, the EMP will definitely be a significant counter to the number of ultimates that are here, especially if they're timed right, but realistically, this is a lot to work through as the Amp Matrix comes out.
They go the route of popping 2 ultimates at once, Dragon Strike and Amp Matrix. Now they're going to use the Parade. Everyone's hiding behind the walls, however. Boise State is on a hide-and-seek mission, trying to find Akami, lands it with the halt. Just around the corner, they're a few minutes from the final point. EMP goes out, hits 3 of Boise State, however. Can they still pull things off with just their standard fire? Terror Surge goes on the Immortality Field, well spent by a Large Bagel. Clear picks up the tank, but Akami is still putting pressure onto the Broncos, getting rid of Lyric. Matt Merck and Moose hanging in there, though. More trades going in favor of Boise State. The Pulse Bomb has been spent for 1 elimination, but it's not enough. Boise State out-trades Hawaii and takes Eichenfold.
That was so surgical on the end of it. They just continued to put so much confusion and just bewilderment into Hawaii on the defensive side. The picks come through early, of course, by Moose with those arrows, but then the fact that you've got Matt Merck patrolling the skies, getting those couple of really key shots as well on the outside players that have not yet reconvened with the rest of the team, and then they have to rush in for a checkpoint contention, but then just get completely counterplayed because of not only just the positional advantage that Boise has, but also with the Kitsune Rush. Everything just snowballs here, and that just allows them to not only use the timing that they have to their advantage, but just their compositional willpower and force, building up those ultimates to then unleash everything in that final moment in the castle to secure the win.
You still gotta give it to Hawaii. Until the very last second, I was thinking there still might be a point. I mean, when an ultimate came online like that Pulse Bob, they were still able to reliably trade what ultimates they did have for 1 or 2 kills. So it wasn't like in that last fight that any huge ultimates went to waste. Whatever Hawaii had, they were putting a dent in Boise State, enough to make me nervous until the very end.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we're going into this final map, which again puts Boise State into a grand final position and being able to take this title, which, like you've talked about since the beginning of this season, is so important to Boise State to be able to take this win for multiple reasons.
Yeah, the main reason, though, is you look at the bracket, who's the first seed and who's the second seed? It's Boise State and UNLV. Those two schools have had the biggest rivalry in the Mountain West ever since this whole thing started. And the Mountain West supported esports. It was Boise State and I believe UNLV who took place in the first exhibition match that Mountain West had when they launched the whole program. UNLV won the first 3 years of competition, and the Boise State has won the last 3 years. So they're all tied in terms of a record, and this is going to be the tie-breaking year to see who is the king of the Mountain West. And we get confirmation on what the third map is going to be. It's going to be Servasta, just like we've seen the whole season before.
Absolutely. Well, and not even just being able to take that fourth title, but for those that are, soon to be graduating this semester, that's another aspect of it, to be able to know that they are one of the victors of this specific season that's going to guarantee them that fourth consecutive win in that sense, to be able to take the lead compared to those that are within this region. So there's so many of those important aspects to why this is almost like just a sugary sweet dessert waiting at the end of the dinner for you.
It hasn't been a bad semester to end out on. Boise State went up against Akron in the next semifinals. Fell in that, but making it that far, you're in the top 14. So there is some prize money to be had there, and they could take the championship in the Mountain West. A pretty exciting semester to end things out on for the 4 seniors on Boise State who are going to be graduating. What happens next over the summer is going to... I'm so excited to see who they bring in, because this is probably the biggest shift in talent we have seen in Boise State esports history in terms of players graduating.
It's a shakeup, but also, as you mentioned, a thrill, because you really get to start harvesting and just be able to develop new talent and new individuals to compete at this high of a level. And with the foundation that Boise has set out, not only from the production side of things, but also just the coaching and the amount of skill that we've seen historically come through this school, I cannot wait to see what that's going to happen. But, that's all in the future, as we are going to continue here in the present, where Boise State wants to close this out and make it a 3-0 score to find themselves once again being undefeated here in this Mountain West season, to enter into those final moments later on this week.
As we pass by those signature 3-wheel tuk-tuks that you see in this region, wouldn't be this part of the world without them. Boise State ready to make their way on toward a market. They are laughing like school children right behind me as they make their way onto the point. We also see Matt Merck bring out the Reaper. A lot of the tanks have had success when they usually go on DPS hits. They go onto the Reaper. Kel had a great 4-piece on the Death Blossom earlier this season. As the flashpoint unlocks, we'll see if Boise State can keep things up. They do get the pick onto Guck thanks to Moose, and Boise State still putting the pressure on, diving on into the low ground, placing a whole bunch of damage onto Banana. Their tank small left falls. Matt Merck cleans things up with River God, and Boise State wins the first team fight.
And the reason that the Reaper is something that's, I think, really well adopted when it comes to tank players is because of just the brawly nature that it brings to it. It has the opportunity of disengaging at a fight very easily if necessary. It couples very well with Clear alongside a large Bagel, who gives that mobility and that close encounter and just upfront type of presence. And that's, I think, why Matt Merck really excels at this as well, because Matt Merck, for the longest time, is a very tactical individual when it comes to the tank line.
Seeing a bit of early fight as Akami trying to get any sort of early pick, but ever since Lijian hasn't been too successful at that. Disruptor shot goes out from Moose, gets a whole bunch of damage. Small left just hanging on, but they're still concerned about the potential flank from Akami. Boise State is now going to be past 80% in this first flashpoint. One last chance for Hawaii to take it all back.
And you saw Moose using the Orisa as the charging battery and then just instantly swapping over. Ant Matrix is gonna make this real hard.
And they don't even need to use the Death Blossom. Just all the damage going on to small left is enough. Akami, though, they were worried about him the whole time. The post bomb does go on to Lear, but he gets in the front line with the Death Blossom to put an end to any hopes and dreams Hawaii has of this final point. Will emote for good measure, and Boise State gets 1.2 away from winning the semifinals.
That's just one of those, I don't know, man, what are you gonna do about it moments with the emote.
Every single player that's been on the Reaper this season, it's been Chosen, it's been Kel, and now Matt Merck. They've consistently emoted every time they get a huge Death Blossom, so they understand how to put on a show.
If anything, if it wasn't Matt Merck's decision outright, I guarantee they're yelling in comms to say you better do it. So either way, we'll see it on anyone that plays the Reaper as we go to this next point and see how it's going to turn out with Hawaii leading in on this.
They open up with a Deadeye, trying to boop him right into the water. It doesn't work, and he punishes the large bagel for even attempting such a play by taking him out. River God also gets a pick onto Matt Murph. Hawaii is up one in this fight as Overclock is used by Moose. Can he pick up some players to bring this back? He picks up Small Left and River, but just as he does, Boise State's tank drop, so he is all alone on point. Large bagel coming in off the respawn, though. Boise State has a chance of still holding this, but Akabi with the pulse bomb puts an end to Moose's reign. So it's up to Bagel now. They're straggling on in one at a time, and each time they do, the main person on point gets taken out. Duck takes out a large Bagel. Can Matt Murph hold on for dear life? All of this fighting, and neither team has even got the charge on this flashpoint.
Yeah, there's so many resources being pumped into this. You had multiple ultimates, both with the overclock and the barrier. Now the Terra Surge gonna come out.
Wow, gets one pick onto Matt Murph. Hawaii still trying to hold on. Boise State is going to have to regroup as Hawaii might have just won this first team. Yeah, I think that final pick onto Moose is going to guarantee it for them. They're now past 20%.
Yeah, again, this is where you have to take a reset. You give ground, you start to recenter, and then you've got 3 ultimates going into this. The Self-Destruct, the Kitsune Rush, and the Death Blossom. An adjustment, though. Moose is going to come out on the Widowmaker here, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to pan out due to the sightlines not being, let's say, as open in some of these angles on this point specifically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was trying to think what sidelines he has.
Wow,
he just
what do I know?
flanks them at a 90-degree angle, and that'll do it. Ripagata and Akami still making things interesting. As soon as they spot Moose, they focus him down. Akami also has this pulse bomb. We've seen that help turn around fights. Clear's just getting bodied right now by Small Left, trying to land the pick onto River God, but there are so many targets all around him that he can't focus down one. He'll get taken out of his mech, and Hawaii has a huge chance of picking up this second point.
Much cleaner from Hawaii, and their resilience on this has really paid off. Most specifically, I have to highlight Akami on this. With the Tracer play, getting this, and then now leaving a lot of space open for Guk with that Sojourn play, it's really paid dividends for them. And now they've got this Pulse Bomb once again where they can utilize that to get an early elimination. They need to stifle this Tracer as they did on the first point, because that's what's really going to help Boise State to be able to counteract against this.
Merck gonna try this flank over the water, but they pull him out, push them back on the Death Blossom, but the damage still goes through. Boise State is gonna pick up 3 as well as the Self-Destruct picking up the Lucio. Hawaii was wise to Boise State's plan, but they just
look at the
couldn't do
grins on their
anything in the
face
of it.
Yeah, the grins on their face just says it all. Everyone, right as that we get those cams up, you can see all 5 lit just because of how amazing that turn of events happens. And there was a really, really great attempt to deny the Death Loss. Oh, yeah, so, there you go. Just chilling out. Why not? Moose just doing Moose things.
Sound barrier comes back online for Boise State. That's why he makes their way back onto the point. They're going to pop the Terror Surge sound barrier in response. And he's going to Terror Surge as long as he can, but can't get through all of that health. Is only going to take out the Diva mech, but that's enough for them to focus on Boise State's tank. And that's a huge turnaround as they take back the flashpoint. A few more boots off into the water. Small and picks up a double to end it all. And Moose trying to get cleanup duty on these last trying to stall the point out, excuse me, as Small Left goes on into the side and falls off the edge himself thanks to Banana.
For those of you that don't know, I'm pretty sure that scream in the back was Moose.
Yeah.
Moose getting a little spooked there with that knockoff, but again, Hawaii's going to have one last chance to defend against this. Boise State is with the Kitsune Rush and the Deadeye that they can use, and Clear opting now to the Winstons to have this more dive-centric opportunity to get onto the back line, utilizing the shield, though, to protect versus the defense matrix, which you saw from that Diva play.
First time we see Clear move onto the Winston.
Oh my
Kitsune Rush is
goodness.
popped, and Moose lands one with the Deadeye. It's an avalanche from there on out. A full team wipe, and Boise State got the point back.
Yeah, avalanche is a perfect way to describe how that just happened. When the Kitsune Rush hits and you've got Reaper in the center of it, it is just shell shock moment. You will absolutely just completely put anyone that is in front of him. Oh, he's gonna look for a flank too here. He might even get the Death Blossom off of it.
He's getting very close to it. They turn around on him. He has to get on out of there, but will live to fight another David Lucio. Yeah, excuse me, right in his face. He almost goes down, but he managed to charge up the Death Blossom. 1-for-1 trade on the main fight. Gonna try to get another, runs out of bullets, has to reload, but now he's looking at the Soldier, lands his target, and the Lucio as well. Boise State keeping control at this point at 99. Just a few left of the Rainbow Warriors to take out. They get rid of the last two players, and Boise State goes up to 2-1.
And the really tragic part is they didn't even get to force out the Death Blossom here. So they're going to carry that over into this third point now, plus the Primal Rage, and they're going to have both support ultimates. Like, Boise State is setting them up for success on this final flashpoint. And it's really all down to Hawaii really getting as much bang for their buck here without these ultimates, and Matt Merck is waiting to punish on entry.
He is just watching over everything from the high ground. Akami taking a bit of damage. He moves on in. Oh! The blink on out, and he still lands the target right on a Matt Merck. Now he's trying to focus down small left on the tank. He's already down to half health. Pops the Terror Surge, but it's not good enough. Boise State stands strong in the face of it. They also have so many ultimates. They haven't even used all their ultimates, and they've won the first fight.
Yeah, they don't need to use any here. They get rid of Akama, who's been so important with this Tracer, and then they follow up forcing out the Terra Surge, which yields nothing? This is just disastrous.
Oh my goodness, we are clear over to the last checkpoint as Clear is knocking everyone around with his ult, trying to take the Echo out in the air. I have not seen a Winston take an Echo out of the air too many times, and it won't happen again this time. But Matt Ricker trying to take things back with the Death Blossom, does get the pick onto River, but things are getting a bit goofy as we are far away from the flashpoint. Both teams just dumping everything they have into each other on this off-point fight. Boise State manages to get up to 65 while all this is happening.
Yeah, wild and wacky indeed. As we can see now, there's going to be a recovery here from Hawaii. They'll push back onto the point now. They've got the sound barrier from a large bagel, which they're going to need to use, though there are enough with the respawns and the mobility that Boise State has that they can get back into this quite quickly.
Ready to move on in. Large Bagel holding on this sound barrier. A lot of ultimates going to come out very soon. The first one, post bomb spent, but it doesn't hit any of the Broncos. You can breathe a sigh of relief there as Akami's been very accurate on those post bombs. Moving on in, Kitsune Rush. Boise State will respond with the sound barrier, giving them all that health. Hawaii also pops their own sound barrier, who throws out the post bomb. Lyric lands it, lands a pick onto River God, and Small Left and Akami are hanging on for health. Akami heals, Small Left dies. Now Akami dies shortly afterwards, and Boise State on the final flashpoint they need to win the Mountain West semifinals. Just one fight remaining.
25%. That's going to go really quickly here. They have to go. They need to grab somebody with this Terra Surge. Are they even going to be able to get there? Maybe. Moose is down. Can somebody touch?
They're going on a bit of a hunting mission. They do manage to get the touch just as it hits 99%. And a focus beam onto Matt Merck is spelling bad news for Boise State. Clear is trying to focus on this Echo. A boop off of the edge out of the corner of my eye lands onto Lyric. Clear follows soon afterwards. And oh my goodness, Boise State does not have time to play with.
No, they don't. I mean, even if you do have Moose look to try and contest this, it's still a risk because then you don't set yourself up for success going into that potential fit. Well, it's going to be, yeah, the fifth flashpoint here. Moose is going to go down. That guarantees that they get it, and they're going to actually buy back into this? No, there's no way.
They're trying to win it right here, right now, but everyone who's strangling is being taken out. Lyric manages to take out Akami and Matt Merck off to the side, bring as much damage as he can onto Small Left. Guck focusing beam onto Lyric, and that'll stop the straggling from Boise State. It's going to head on over to the fifth and final flashpoint. Palace.
Still a lot of smiles, though. No concern in their eye right now, as that will be 3 ultimates. It's going to be the Kitsune Rush, it's going to be the Primal Rage, and the Overclock. And because of where the spawn was, oh, that's not good, though.
A collective groan by Boise State as that first pick comes out, they're giving each other a hard time, but look at all the damage being pushed onto Small Left. Banana also taking a bit of chip damage. They manage to heal on up. Pieces have charge on back. They're going to be using the duplicate. They get it on to Clear, so now they are taken on out. They do get a pick on to Clear. Small Left with the double move, picks off Guk. And he gets a double as well. He gets rid of all the DPSs for Hawaii, but they still have their tank left. They take out one of the supports, and now Smollett has only one person to keep him alive, but it's enough for him to get the pick onto Matt Merck. And the first flashpoint, 3/4 of the way there at least. Boise State now starts to respawn. With support by Large Vega, they're able to take out Smollett and win the first fight.
That was wicked. The chaos that ensued, and Boise State still coming out on top is just astonishing. As you're going to be able to see them now still hold on to 2 ultimates, mind you, out of this. They got both the Pulse Bomb, the Duplicate, and actually the Terra Surge. They got 3 out of that. Boise State doing so well. So it's only the support ultimates that they got to worry about. The big thing is that they do have the Kitsune Rush, and Lyric does not.
How soon they use that Kitsune Rush very soon as they move on in, but right before one railgun shot landed onto Guk and took out a whole bunch of damage from Hawaii. Clear has also popped the Primal Rage, trying to body Hawaii State into these into these narrow hallways. Large Vega also holding on to this sound barrier for a rainy day. Moves
Clear?
down the dead
No way!
Clicks and collects onto Small Left. What a huge fight for the Broncos. He's still getting headshot. He gets a double. Looking for
Oh, he
River
wants
God,
it.
who's just hanging on. All the way back to market we go. Boise State getting into another one of these risky pushes, but they are getting these one-on-ones, so they don't have to worry. This is going to be it. They take it in Servasta and win the Mountain West semifinals.
It's funny that we see it start in the center and ironically end near the center, where those picks come up cleanly. Moose just absolutely taking names, but there is still no surprise that we actually get to see a highlight here on the support play, because realistically, just the supports have been so monumental as well when it comes to a lot of these plays, and the synergy between this Kitsune Rush plus the Reaper and the value that it brings on some really key fights when it comes to tempo control. Massive win here again, 3-0, continuing not only their win streak, but putting them into a grand final position here for the Mountain West to claim their 4th and rightfully deserved title.
Well, we'll have to see on the other side of the bracket who makes it through and will beat Boise State's rivals in the finals. It's either going to be New Mexico or UNLV. But for now, the Broncos can hold their head up high. They definitely had some fun in that last one on Flashpoint. I can always tell when they're having a little bit more fun with it just due to the emoting. When things are down to the wire, they tend to be a lot more quiet. But then I start hearing the screams if they're playing for a bit more fun. So that's always great to hear.
Especially when even I can hear it from all the way where I'm at. Just the shriek from Moose in the back saying, all right, I know now that they're going to have to rethink it. But, you know, they're having a good time, which is the most important part.
A great time capped off by a win. So congrats to the Broncos for winning that. We'll see you at the Mountain West Grand Finals. For now, though, for tonight, we'll leave you with the top 5 plays of the game brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard. They invite you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. They have a variety of jobs with offer a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. You can live here, work here, and serve here with the Idaho Army National Guard. Reach out to them on Instagram at iGuardIdaho. But for now, for tonight, this is Jem and Rich Rad signing off. We hope you have a good night. Enjoy now this highlight clip from the Idaho Army National Guard. Self-destruct Hawaii also has their Terra Surge, and they have to use it as their backline is falling to Boise State's long-range shots from Moose. They move on in. That's only a little over 3 meters between them and the checkpoint. Nana lands a pick onto Lyric. Coming on back,
wow.
Clear and Matt Merck body the
4 minutes to go. Boise State has given up quite a bit of ground here. Oh my goodness. All right, a large bagel.
That's what I was waiting for, one of those bursts of damage. All the damage going on to Small Left is enough. Akami, though, they were worried about him the whole time. The post bomb does go on to Lyric, but he gets in the front line with the Death Blossom to put it in. Netmer gonna try this flank over the water, but they pull him out, pushes it back on the Death Blossom, but the damage still goes through. Boise State is gonna pick up 3 as well.